Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Cummings with Assurant. Some of my primary responsibilities are managing our enterprise routing teams and our enterprise reporting platform, Egain and Icms. I'm here to tell you a little bit about analytics within the contact center, but primarily why and how Assurant utilizes analytics in our day-to-day operations. But first, who is Assurant? We're problem solvers and pioneers. At Assurant, we figure out what's stopping the business and consumers that we serve and find ways to keep them moving forward. We have a reputation for introducing new ideas to the marketplace that turn insight into competitive advantages. With decades of experience to draw upon, we're well prepared to anticipate our customers' needs and spot opportunities for them to succeed. And y'all can tell I'm not really a speaker. I'm real good at managing my routing teams, but speaking's not my forte, so please forgive me. I have to use my notes. What do? We protect what matters most. Assurant supports some of the world's most recognizable brands, helping them solve their business challenges. We find solutions for challenges that face everyday people too. Major challenges like flooded homes, expensive car repairs, unexpected funeral expenses, and less inconveniences like broken phones, misplaced mobile devices, or malfunctioning appliances. So how's Assurant different? We see further. We get there first. We adapt as you go. Assurant protects and supports consumer purchases in a completely new way so that you can create experiences that makes your customers' days. We're all about opportunity, finding new ways to grow, doing more, meaning more. We turn data into insight, and that insight helps leading brands around the world delight their customers with creative solutions that keep lives running smoothly. Envision a future with more customer loyalty, wider margins, and innovation that give you an edge. That's the Assurant advantage. So why analytics in the contact center? Analytics allows our management teams to manage agent performance, such as average handle time, talk time, hold time, wrap time, adherence to schedule. It also empowers them to measure and manage the contact center performance. Metrics like service level, abandon rate, average speed of answer, etc. Using the near real-time data, they can ensure they have the appropriate agents staffed at the appropriate times. Managing call queues to meet contractual obligations is critical. Using the analytics tool, it helps us make those decisions and meet our obligations more easily. Having the correct data real time empowers our leadership to take proactive steps to address potential non-performance issues. So why Egain for analytics at Assurant? So when Assurant started its quest to convert all of our contact centers from Avaya to Cisco, we quickly found out it was going to be a little bit more challenging to do our day-to-day operations. In CMS, real-time data, historical data, intraday data, managing agent skill groups, managing agent team assignments, it was all available in one spot right there in CMS. To where in Cisco, we were quickly having to teach our managers to access CUIC, leave it, go to a URL for agent reskilling, so forth, so on. We approached our Cisco rep, and he introduced us to Egain. So in 2009, we implemented VIM, now known as Egain Analytics. After that, we quickly started taking advantage of what we call a one-stop shop. Not only are we able to view, build, edit reports, we can use the analytics platform for managing our agents. We can use it for managing our agent teams. But more importantly, now our business partners are empowered to control their own hours of operations, their own holiday tables, force close a contact center, force open it, all by themselves. So some of the products and services that we use, Within the analytics application, we leverage the ability to take data from across the world. We have contact centers all over the world. And we pull that data into single reports that show us an over-level picture. When we were on Avaya, we had individual PBXs installed. And if we wanted to get an overall outlook of how a single client was doing that had agent staffed in numerous locations, we either had to use the data warehouse or, like many of you probably done, export it from all the different CMS platforms, roll it up in Excel to get the overall. No longer do we need to do that. We also use charts and graphs with the applications and gadgets platforms for historical trending. We trend typically stuff like agent staffing, average handle time, post-service level, day and by interval. These are things that we look at on a day-to-day basis. By trending that data, managers are quickly able to determine why and if their intervals are out of compliance and why they're out of compliance. Is it due to call arrival pattern, agent staffing, average handle time, or adherence to schedules? In addition, now that we're on analytics, our customers can build their own reports. More importantly, they can only build their reports. They can't write their own calculations. In CMS, when I first come on board and I took over managing the team, I looked across 27 different CMSs, and I can tell you service level is calculated one of 10 different ways. All right? So the nice thing about analytics now, unless you're an administrator that has access to the semantic model editor tool, you can't touch that semantic model. You can open it, you can build a report, you can add attributes from it to your report, but you can't change that data. This ensures consistency across our business units and gives us the peace of mind that if I'm pulling a report or one of my peers is pulling a report, we're given the same data. It was calculated the same. Provisioning is another thing that we enjoy about the analytics platform because we're not locked down to having to go to provisioning management screen, locate the agents to add skills. Utilizing the applications and gadgets, we can have one gadget up that has a real-time report or a chart in it, a grid. We can have a resource browser gadget up. We can click on the agent's name and immediately that agent's information pops up. And we just skill them from right there. All right? Same thing with skill groups. More importantly, the robust security. At Assurant, we have in excess of 20 tenants on our platform. And with each tenant, we have anywhere from 5 to 15 root policy folders. So what does that mean? We have that many lines of businesses that have no business looking at each other's data, nor does each one of those businesses want them looking at each other's data. We train administrators on the Egain platform to manage their own root policy folders. They grant access to them. They build the folder hierarchies. They determine who gets access to their data. In addition, the security allows us to use what we call a client portal. We grant our external clients direct access to the Egain platform. This has eliminated numerous man hours. We don't now have to have an intraday analyst sitting, pulling data every 30 minutes, every 6 hours, every 4 hours, whatever the case was, and emailing the results to their clients. We give them VPN access to our network. They come in, they go through client portal, they click the Egain URL. We have their user ID locked down to where it takes them to one folder that has reports in it that have saved parameters that they can pop up. They can export the data, but they can't do nothing else to it. Empowering our customers to control their own call routing. This is where I get excited. How many of y'all have ever been Christmas Eve day, you're sitting down with your family, the phone rings. We have a customer saying, we thought we would be open all day, but there's no call volume. We want to close early. Well, I'm about to share with you how to eliminate those calls. All right? It's by empowering them to control when they want to open and close their contacts. It's empowering them to make the decisions. Empowering each of our businesses to control their own call routing is essential to our day-to-day operations. We have more than 1,100 ESM operating gadgets documents and in excess of 8,300 call control code groups that enable our businesses to manage their most important routing 24/7. Implementing codes has allowed us to change how we address business needs. Prior to Egain, our businesses would come, call the help desk would call our on-call and say, I need our hours changed, or I need you to close us, or I need you to put an emergency media wave file letting everything coming from the East Coast know it's delayed because of some unforeseen circumstance. Once we go in, we'll work with our business partners. They'll say, hey, Mike, we need a new toll-free number set up. My team knows that when they request a new toll-free number, there are standard processes that they need to follow. One, they ask, is it pre-IVR or after IVR? We're checking your hours of operations. All right. They will set up those hours of operations to where they work off ESM gadgets. All right. Then they'll ask them, is there any other business routing decisions that we need to automate for you? And if so, they'll set them up. Once everything's put in place, the business has full control. They don't need us no more. This is all possible because of Egain's ability to communicate with ICM. ICM uses the application gateway to talk to Egain. And so when a call comes in on a toll-free number, ICM will send a request to Egain. This is for ESM open and close times. We're going to pass two pieces of data. On variable 1, we're going to tell it the tenant's name. On variable 2, we're going to tell it the site path. Egain's going to receive that request and say, oh, okay, I found it. The current value that's set for this code group is X. Sends it back to ICM. ICM has an if statement in the scripts. We use the admin scripts or sometimes routing scripts, and it says, oh, if value is this, play this pre-recorded media file. So to give you an example, our businesses can go in and say, I want to force close the contact center. They go into Egain to the ESM operating gadgets. They click force close. Now a drop down pops up. It wants them to select, why are you force closing us? Is it due to unforeseen circumstances, hurricane, fire drill? And there's a numerical value tied to each one of those names. Once they select it, ICM now says, oh, the value was 9.4. Play this message that was pre-recorded for hurricane. And this is unique for every one of our lines of businesses. That's why we have 8,300 of them. So, of the two types of code groups, the most used is our call control code groups. As I said, there's over 8,300 of them. We refer to them as configurable intelligent call routing variables. Call control code groups enable our business to control their call routing near real time. Depends on how fast we got the admin scripts refreshing. Used in conjunction with the admin scripts, we have the intelligent routing that is controlled by the business. Things such as making decisions whether to overflow calls from one group to another, from one site to another, from one skill group to another, letting the business on the fly choose what percentage of calls they allocate from one location to another, or making simple decisions like, what media file do I want to play to this customer? To give you an example, we have stuff set up when a call comes in, we check if the call is coming from East Coast or West Coast by doing a database step. If the call is coming from the East Coast and for some reason something's delaying a shipping from the East Coast, the business can activate a variable within Egain that says, every time a call comes in from the East Coast, play this message. They can also add a variable for the West Coast. Or they can add a variable that says, everything's good, we're shipping on time, don't play no message to them. It doesn't have to be an on-off. It doesn't have to be a variable 1, 2, 3, or whatever. It can also be decisions made by using metrics, all right? Things such as expected wait time, Otis call waiting, average time to queue, agent staffed, number of agents available, and the list goes on and on. These are all attributes that we can use for making routing decisions that are configurable by the business. To give you an example, let's say we're using agent staff to determine if we want to route a call, overflow it from one group to another. We might set it up to where today it says, if agent staffed is greater than 5, that 5 is the variable. The business can change it on the fly. Maybe they want to change it to 100 where it never overflows. Maybe they want to set it to 0 to where it always overflows. That's their decision. They're empowered to do it. So unlike the ISM operating open and close gadgets, call control code groups work a little bit different. One, they're not a gadget. You access them through the provisioning management screen. Two, communicating between Egain and Icms a little bit different. The call control code groups use 4 variables. var1's the tenant, var2's the site path, var3's the code group name, and var4's the code. Egain responds back on variable 1. Now, if you speak to the Egain team, they'll tell you there's other ways of doing it. That's the way we have it customized, but that's not the way it has to be. All right? You can also use ECC variables and stuff to pass. So the same principle, though. Egain will respond back with a set variable, and based upon what that variable is, we'll make call routing decisions off of it. Some additional routing decisions that are used with code groups at Assurant are determine when and if pre-recorded messages should play. All right? I told you about the East Coast, West Coast. It might also be that a call has went into queue, and based upon Otis call waiting, we say if the Otis call waiting has been waiting longer than X, then we want you to play them a message. All right? It might be that we use expected wait time up front when we first queue the call to say if the expected wait time is greater than X, play them a message. All right? That X variable is configurable. The business controls that. Oh, my bad. Code groups are also used to address unexpected call arrival. If there's anything we use code groups for that is very valuable, it's eliminating the need for intraday reskill assignments. Some of you guys that work in intraday or workforce planning know it's kind of like watching a game of tennis. I watch intraday analysts watch calls queuing up, move agents from here, move agents to there, and it's a game of tennis back and forth. And the entire time they're doing it, they truly don't know how bad they're damaging either one of those service levels or their contractual obligations. All they know, we're queued up over here. This is the guys that help us, assign them to the skills. So I'm about to tell you how to eliminate that. If set up properly, you can safeguard service levels of low call volume clients while still allowing agents that staff them to support high call volume clients if and when appropriate. I'll give you an example. You have a high call volume client. You got a low call volume client. A call comes in for the high volume call client. Before you make any decisions, you check to see if someone's available. Nope, no one's available. First question I'm going to ask, does this client really need help? If we're running at a service level of 86 for the month and our contractual obligation is 80, do I need to roll this call to a backup skill group? No. It can sit. It can wait. All right? But what if we're running at a 79? I probably want to pull in some backup support, get that call overflowed. All right? Use some backup agents. But can I use my backup agents without damaging that low call volume client service levels? Because as all of y'all know, low call volume clients, you can try to forecast when those calls are going to arrive, but if it's a client that only receives 100 calls a day, you miss one or two of those calls and now you're seriously in trouble. You could be potentially going to miss your commitment. So what we do is first we say, do they need help? And the way we decide that, we use a configurable variable that the business controls, not IT. They can go into Egain and set 80, 85, and that represents the service level threshold. If it's met, then we look at the overflow skill group. But the first thing we're going to say is, can they afford to help? Again, we'll look at service level of that client or the overflow skill group. If that statement is true, then we'll say, you can help them, but only if you got greater than X number of agents available. All right, that X number of agents available, we typically run at 1, meaning that 2 or more have to be available. And what that does is it ensures that if a call comes in for that low volume client, there's someone there to answer it. We don't have agents sitting twiddling their thumbs, occupancy still running at that 85, 86 rate, but we're handling both queues. There's several other examples that we use call control code groups for. We will stack variables like I was just talking about. We'll bring calls in. We will check things such as number of calls that are currently in queue. If the number of calls that are currently in queue are greater than X, we're going to play a higher than normal call volume to the customer, some type of patience message up front. Or we might choose to do some promotional. Did you know you can get self-help at this web address? All right? So there's a lot of different power with using the call control code groups. Since we moved to them, we have seen the number of errors in emergency requests and call scripting go way down because now the engineers have time to amply program things ahead of time, let the business test it, they sign off, they got the peace of mind of knowing when they need it, one, they're empowered to do it, two, they know it's going to work. The other is the engineers, they don't get interrupted so much after hours now on holidays and weekends because the business doesn't have to call us. But more importantly, our businesses can make decisions on their own, and they don't have to wait for an hour for an engineer who's out fishing or something to get back to take care of their problem. They do it themselves. So thank you guys. If you see me walking around, you have any questions, please stop me.